Today we have Mel Peacock on. Welcome, Mel. Thank you so much. So, I'm sure if you're listening, you're a fan of Strongman. You know who Mel is. If not, go to her Instagram right now. Mel is the Clash in the Coast champion. She's a professional strongwoman. I've known about her for years. She has the Canadian world record for both deadlift and axle. I have no doubt, Mel, I'm going to put you on the spot, but I have no doubt in your career, you'll be getting some world records by the looks of your training. So, yeah, welcome. Christy and I always talk about you. We're so excited that we finally have you on.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so right now I'm training for Shaw, so I guess we can chit chat a little bit about that and talk about kind of the sport, where it's going with the women's side of things. Exciting things are happening for us. It's crazy to think where things have come since I started the sport back in 2017. It's been a long time already.
Yeah, time flies. So, all right, so we're 3 weeks out of the Shaw Classic. Last year, you placed third, and I had the pleasure of commentating. So I had a front row seat to you last year. I would say last year, watching your yoke and the potential injury and just seeing, I already know you have a good mindset. You bounce right back. So tell us right now how training is going, how you're feeling, and how you're approaching this Shaw Classic versus maybe last year, where you've had so much more experience now.
Yeah, so training's going well now. Not that it wasn't going well. I'm really hard on myself, so sometimes I feel like, training just doesn't feel like it's clicking. But I feel like it's starting to click the last couple weeks. But it's funny when I say like, oh, I feel like training's not going well, but then I compare like previous preps to where I'm at, and I'm like, I don't know why I keep thinking that it's not going well, because I am like progressively getting better over the years. So I'm just really hard on myself, I think. Sometimes I need to like take a step back and appreciate where I'm at. Um, so yeah, I think I have 4 weeks of training left actually. So I find in most of my preps, that's kind of when things like really start to pick up and click and things start to feel good. Um, so I am happy with where I'm at in prep right now. And I really like the events this year. So I've had a lot of fun training for those.
It's funny because everyone we talk about, like the high achieving athletes, I feel like it's the same common theme. Everyone's so hard on themselves. And then us being viewers or, I'm always looking at your story. I'm like, what is Mel painting today? What wall is she painting? What plant is she getting? I guess I need more plants now. But even, okay, so past the painting stuff, like I can tell, and, just from looking at your stories, I'm like, wow, that's like, definitely progressing a lot of weight. I saw those 300 plus pound power stairs, but it's interesting that like even the best are, there's still a little bit self-doubt there. Because everyone, of course you have like a like champion mindset, but you're still human.
Yeah. And I think
How
that's
do
how
you
we
kind of
push.
counteract that?
I think that's just how we kind of push ourselves, right? Because like we never feel like we're, not that we don't feel like we're good enough, but we're always like chasing to be better, right? So, but then you have to like humble yourself and take a step back and be like, okay, remember like power stairs, for example. I remember I kind of have PTSD from that event. I don't know if you guys remember in 2019 at OSG, that was the final event. And going into the power stairs, I was in the lead by, or sorry, not in the lead, but I was in third place by a point. And they had discussed in the rules meeting that power stairs would be the tiebreaker. So I was going head to head with Rebecca Rowley, and she ended up, so she was behind in fourth, behind me by a point. She ended up beating me on the power stairs, tying me in points, and then because the power stairs was the tiebreaker, she ended up getting third place. So I have a little bit of PTSD from that event. But anyway, that event in 2019, I believe the third implement on the power stairs was 275, and I couldn't even get it onto the first step. And now it's like I'm training this event again for the first time since 2019. and I'm doing 300 and 325 for reps at training. So sometimes I need to just like remind myself of those things, and it's hard not to compare yourself to other people and what they're doing, but just reminding yourself where you've come from and where you are now, and you are progressively getting better over the years. It's never linear, so I think that's why sometimes it's difficult, because you're like, oh, I'm not as strong as I was maybe like 2 months ago, or when I was like peaked for prep, but strength is like this, right? So it's fun to kind of remind yourself of past experiences and where you've come from since then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no.
crazy you haven't done power stairs in that long too.
I
Like
know.
that, you've gotten so much stronger since then. So that's like that's huge.
Yeah, the PTSD because of what happened, obviously all us competitors can relate to that one moment, but that is definitely what makes you, gives you that like inner fire when you're going to compete, because that most likely, Mel, is never going to happen to you again. Like, if
No.
anything, power stairs might be your best event now.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. And I'm excited that the women get stones at Shaw this year too. So the past years, the men have gotten to do stones, but the women did bag toss, and bag toss is probably one of my least favorite events. So I'm glad that they're
Same.
not.
Same.
Glad. Yeah, I could do without that event. So I'm glad that we get to do stones this year, because I haven't done a stone run since the World's Ultimate Strongman show in 2021 either. So
Yeah, it's interesting how strongman, if you look at it, it's almost like trends. So the bag was so popular for a while, and then I was getting frustrated too, because I was looking at it like, why are men always being able to do stones and not the women? Because stones are like the epitome of strongman.
yeah, stones are like iconic. So yeah, I'm really happy that we get to do stones this year. And
Why do you guys think that is? With that they just don't do the stones with women as often? Just like logistics, or like
honestly, I have no idea. I just kind of chalked it up to maybe he just didn't have a women's set of stones.
mhm.
Like
When I've asked, yeah, when I've asked promoters before, like why they don't, they said a lot of times it has to do with setup and bringing everything in. So if you think about it, like you said, logistic wise, getting a sandbag or whatever you're tossing over and just setting that up once versus having to reset the stone every time, it just makes the contest go a little bit
Mhm.
faster, a little bit smoother. But we're putting it out right now, like we want stones. That's a crowd favorite. Everyone
Mhm.
knows it. So yeah, we want stones. So let's hope that this is bringing it back.
Yeah. Mel, if you could tell a promoter to do any event, like what's your dream event that a promoter would have?
just
Something
like
that
one
maybe
of
you
it.
like, or a couple. I mean, it doesn't have that much pressure. Like, maybe
Um,
something you saw, like you're like Finkel fingers, or something you think you'd be really good at, or something like that.
I've never done fingal fingers, so I have no idea if I would even be good at that. I mean, I think the classic dumbbell. I feel like dumbbell for reps, though. I am really excited about that event being at Shaw. Obviously, Sam Beliveau is like the best dumbbell presser in the world, and I feel like I'm like up there, but I think arguably I could maybe be one of the best dumbbell for rep pressers. So I'm excited to showcase that at Shaw. So dumbbell for reps, stone runs, I think are great in every show. Um, one of the trendier events, it's kind of phased out a little bit, but the sandbag to shoulder, I don't know why I love that. I love that event so much. So something like that in a show. More athletic events is
Hmm.
kind of up my alley. So, and yoke runs, I like yoke. I kind of like just like the basic events.
The
I'm not,
classic.
yeah,
Hmm.
like I'm not really familiar with doing not really familiar with or comfortable with doing like like the old worlds like WSM style events where it's just these like random feats of strength that you can't really train for. I think those are cool to watch, but as a competitor, I'm not really a fan of those because I don't feel like I can be like fully prepped for those types of events.
I love
Uh,
that you said that, because I wouldn't have thought that. Chrissy, I don't even know what's your take. Would you rather, like what Melissa said, more of like what you can train for the classic, or do you like random feats of strength?
I liked stuff that you could train for. I wish I could say like I want to do. I mean, I would do like a car flip or something. That'd be cool. But like not in a contest, because that gives you a little bit more anxiety. Even when they switch out the sandbag typed in for me, I'm like, oh no. And I wish I wasn't like that. But not in a contest, but I would love to try some of those things, know.
It's funny. So for me, like on the athlete side of me, I like the random feats of strength, but the coaching side of me likes the predictable, because it's so much easier to like train for. But that's really cool to hear you say, Melissa. So yeah, just curious. All right. So what?
Sorry,
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Say I'm the same as Chrissy, that like I would love to like just try those things for fun, but yeah, I get a little bit of competitor anxiety if I don't really know the details of what I'm doing. So
go through the events and weights for the Shaw Classic. We have stones, we have dumbbell. It's so good to hear you say that you're excited for all of them, because that is a very, very rare occurrence where you have a contest and you're like, I like all these events.
So I can't remember the order of events. I know day one is log for reps, so that's 200 pounds for reps. And then the farmer's medley, so it's 225 a hand for 40 feet into 250 a hand for 40 feet back. And then the third event is the like power medley. I'm not sure what they're calling it. So it's 225 sandbag into a 275 Husafel into a tank push. So I think they're using like the Prowler on wheels, I think is what they're using for that. So that's day one qualifying events. Top 10 go on to day 2 and 3. So these events, I'm not sure the day and order of, but there's the
top 10. I don't want to interrupt you. I just want to, just so everyone knows, I believe right now there's 23 competitors signed up. So, which is a big showing. So that's exciting.
Yeah. So then there's the 125 dumbbell for reps, the power stairs. So I believe it's 5 stairs, 3 implements. So 225, 275, and 325.
Heavy.
Yeah, it is. 5 stairs is a lot. So
I think they're 18 inches, if I'm not mistaken.
The stair is 15 inches.
15, okay.
Yeah, so not very high, but I'm not sure how high the actual like implement is. I know we're using like a loadable pin, so I don't think it'll be super high, which is fine by me. I'm not a very tall athlete, so stones. So that's a 5 stone medley, I believe. I think it's 225, 250, 275, 300, 325. And then, am I missing an event? How many was that? No, I think that's it. 2 and 2, right?
Yeah, because then they give you more time on the second and third. Yeah. So Friday is day 1, Saturday. Yeah. Awesome. So exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for the events.
So so everyone knows, what is your record for axle and deadlift?
So I have the Canadian record. So the deadlift, I did the 6. I actually can't remember. I was thinking about this today. I can't remember if it was 601 or 606. I did at the Arnold in March on the elephant bar. I can't remember. 6 something.
Fact check yourself after and let us know.
And then I had the 275 axle press. So I did that at Clash back in 2021, which briefly was actually the World Open record, which I did as a middleweight. And then I believe Annabelle Chapman broke it a couple months later. I think I'm so bad with these stats, but I did hold it. So
I'm pretty sure when you did that record, I remember Chrissy and Chrissy, I think you were wearing your all black, look strong naked, and I was wearing purple. And I was like, Chrissy, how do you feel about this record? I went up to you after. Do you remember I went up to you after I interviewed you, like when the cameras were off? Do you remember what, like, I was shaking you what I said?
I don't remember, honestly.
I was like shaking you, and I was like, "You're gonna hit 300 at some point in your life." And I was like, "Never stop getting your eyelashes or nails done. You are so pretty. I love it."
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And you did it.
There we are. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was crazy. That was so fun. And it's really cool too because I mean, just how strong you've got. I mean, I feel like it's been a short time. If I look back, it's been like 5 years since probably like I've
I know.
known who you are, following you. So I'm like, you got strong so fast because we were in the same class. We both were 180s at like amateur nationals, and or no, not amateur, obviously not, but or like Arnold or stuff like maybe
Mhm.
one time. And then all of a sudden, it just seemed like I'm like, I guess it has been kind of a longer time. But even before that, I just love when you post your Fit Chick era because it shows like just like the progression of just your mindset. And I just think it's a really great example too for so many reasons. Just being like feminine and strong, but also, you know, having to grow out of that, I don't know, whatever era you were in to get stronger. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I totally feel the same way as you because like even that year at Clash, like that feels like last year or like 2 years ago, but
Yeah.
that was already like almost 4 years ago. And to even think that I've been like competing since 2017, I'm like, oh, that was like 2 years ago, but like we're already
No.
halfway through 2024, which is crazy.
I know.
Um, but like at the same time, that's not a very long time. So to think about
Yeah. Yeah.
how far the sport has come as a
Hmm.
whole since I started, like I always kind of make the joke that when I started the sport, I was competing for a $10 trophy in a parking lot. Like I did, and I mean, I still do this sport, but I did this sport just because I truly loved it and I loved
Hmm.
what it gave me. And now to think that, like, for example, like the Rogue Invitational is having women there this year, and the prize pot is the same as the men's, and it's like literally for the men and women, it's $1 million prize pot.
Hmm.
Like, if you would have told me that when I started in 2017, I would have laughed at you. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy talk. So it's
Yeah.
super cool to like have been a part of the sport. Not that like the sport started in 2017, but there's been kind of like some hiccups along the way where World's Strongest Woman was a thing in the early 2000s and then it kind of disappeared for a while and then federations came back. I don't know, probably like around 2015 for women to compete in, kind of when like Kristen Rhodes, like that was her era when she started. Um, and yeah, now we're here. We're on the same stage as the men and
Yeah.
Arnold, and now Rogue is having us, and you can actually like we're making money in this sport, not like a living by any means, but we're kind of heading in that direction. So that's
Yeah.
super
It's
cool to be a
awesome to
part of.
see that you get to be a part of that. And I feel stalkery now, but because I remember all these things you've said on your stories and what color you're painting your walls and all the things. But one time you said, it just stuck with me, and it was maybe last year. Who knows when it was? I don't know. But you were like, when am I going to be this age, this strong, doing this, getting this opportunity? Like, I need to keep going. And so it just really kind of showed me like you are, just taking everything by the reins, be like, hey, like, this is my time. I'm going to give it all I got. What kind of keeps you going? It's just because like you think it's fun, like, or is there any other type of motivation in you? Like you train really hard and like, see, your all your time is kind of put in that. Like, why do you do it?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I mean, obviously, I started this sport, so I don't know a little bit of my background. I played all the sports in school. I grew up in a small town, so you didn't have to like try out for teams or anything. You could just kind of do whatever you wanted. So I played all the sports. I've been competitive since a very, very young age. And then when I graduated, I moved to the city for hair school, and I kind of felt lost. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do because I was always so used to playing sports. And I didn't want to like join a rec team because I'm like, it's not the same. I feel like rec teams are kind of like beer league teams. Like people just do it for fun. They don't take things, not that I don't do this for fun, but like they don't take it seriously. So I was like, what can I do? So when I moved to the city, I joined a women's only gym and I did that for a while and I was like, it's just not really like fulfilling that like competitive edge that I have. So then I ended up hiring a bodybuilding coach. and started prepping for a bikini show. So I did that in 2016, and I like appreciate that part of my life, but that wasn't like it for me, you know? Like I'm glad that I did it. I don't regret that I did it, but I think that really helped me transition into like doing something that I really love, which is strongwoman. So, the bodybuilding coach that I had, she trained out of a strongman, like not only a strongman gym, but there was strongman going on. So whenever she trained me, I always like saw that going on, you know, like Jess Beaker. That's where I first met Jess. She was training out of that gym, and I was like, man, that's so badass. Like, I want to do that. So when I finished my bodybuilding show, I booked a session with the trainer at the gym at the time, and we did deadlifts, we did farmers, and we did log. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. I was like, this is what I want to do. And from there on out, I was gonna do a bodybuilding show that fall, and I completely scratched that. I was like, nope, I want to do this. So I started training strongman that summer, and then I did a rookie show that December, and then I did my first like sanctioned show the next April, and went on to win provincials, nationals. I won nationals the 3 consecutive years, 2017, 2018, 2019. And yeah, the rest is history. So I I did the sport because I loved it. I loved how it made me feel. I felt badass. I was like, I just want to lift heavy shit, right? And then along my journey, I think it's just been a combination of things adding to the pot as to why I love this and do this. I mean, I've met some of my absolute best friends in this sport. The community is amazing. It's a big community, but it's a very small community, and I'm sure you guys can relate to that. You kind of know everyone within the sport. So the community, my best friends keep me going. And then something that I don't really think of until people actually reach out to me, when I'll have girls message me saying like, hey, like for example, the other day I had a girl reach out to me, message me on Instagram. She said, hey, you don't know me, but I just wanted to say like, I've been following you since your bikini days, and I've watched your journey, and I just want to say like, you're super inspiring. And she just kind of talked about struggling with like her reason for like going to the gym and like body image, but that I kind of have showed her and other girls that like it's not all about, you know, going to the gym to look a certain way, and like you don't have to fit into this box and be small. Um, so just getting messages like that really reminds me too why I love doing this, is like I do this sport because I love it, but also at the same time I'm unintentionally like inspiring people for whatever reason, whether it's they feel like they don't need to fit into a certain box, or they just want to get stronger, or you know what I mean? So I think it's a combination of all those types of things as to my reason why, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that so much because you started because you saw, like you said, Jessica being badass,
hmm
and now everyone's messaging you saying they're starting because they think you're badass. Like I feel like we all have that woman we saw. Like for me, it was seeing. I went to a powerlifting competition and some women on the platform like screaming at the barbell, and I was like, I want to do that. And uh, so that's really cool. Brittany, who's like, do you have a person that like inspired you?
It's so funny that you say that, because I was just thinking like I actually didn't have a person that I saw that I looked up to until after I was in the sport. Mine was Alana Casey. I can remember her watching her training videos and being like, how is she benching that much? How is she putting a 180 log, like numbers that I eventually hit that I thought were so far to reach? But no, I didn't have anyone. Like, you're so lucky that you saw it at the gym. I just found mine. I found like a strongman thing on Facebook and thought it looked cool, but I was more into bodybuilding actually. Like, I never competed like you did, Mel, but that's what I thought I would get into from a young age. So, but then I fell in love with strength. And I was going to ask you, Melissa, like when you're like not strong women specifically, but like that barbell moment where you're just like, oh, this is so cool. For me, it was when I was a freshman in college. I'd always lifted before, but I did more like I was always trying to grow my arms because I did track and I was so skinny up top. But I did a front squat for the first time, and I remember I was beating, like I was a Division 1 rower and I beat the boys, and I was like, Oh, this is cool. I love, and that was it for me. So do you have like an aha moment?
Honestly, I want to say it was like literally right from the start, that first session that I booked with that strongman coach.
Who was the coach? Give her a shout out.
His name was
Oh,
Derek, and
his.
it was actually Jess Theaker's coach.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
yeah, so during that session, I remember I hit, which is so funny looking back, but I remember I hit a 245 deadlift, and I was like, that's so fucking sick. Like
That is
20,
sick.
like
It was
245
good.
pounds off the ground. And then now fast forward, I'm deadlifting over 600 pounds. So it's just, yeah, it's crazy to like look back where we started. And I think I did like a 90-pound vlog that day. So I actually like went back to that gym a couple weeks ago that I first trained out of, and they have the same log there. It was the first log I ever pressed, so little nostalgic
Oh,
moment.
that's so
That's
awesome. And
cute.
now you could probably take it and like probably
One
like
arm
windmill it. You could windmill it. 90
met.
pounds. When you were in bikini prep, did you enjoy like what was so you were doing a lot of cardio, dieting and stuff. Did you like training? Was it something that you kind of just did because you like were into sports?
So I actually really like in the moment, I actually really, really enjoyed doing my bikini prep. Um, I just, like I said, I've always been super competitive, and I had this goal in my mind of like, I want to do this bikini show. And it was kind of just like head down that whole prep. And in the moment, I really enjoyed it. But like now being outside of it, I don't think that I would enjoy doing that again. But at the time in my life, it was what I needed and wanted, and I don't regret doing it. But like now that I'm in strongman, I don't think that I would ever be able to do a bodybuilding show. Like, not that I wouldn't be able to, but I don't think I would enjoy it or appreciate it the same way that I did back then. So,
Well, I think it's great to start out in bodybuilding. I never did a bodybuilding show and I don't really have desire to, but it gives you such a good base and kind of teaches you how to go to failure, how to feel your muscles, how to just do
mhm,
the basic movements well, like a lat
yeah,
pull down without using just your shoulders. So I think it's really valuable to start with that for a few years, like learn how to lift before you jump into strongman. Not saying you can't,
yeah,
dabble, but it does give you a good base and also like teaches you discipline and also
mhm,
how to follow a structured program that you're going to get results if stick to the plan. So
mhm,
I'm definitely all for people like starting out in bodybuilding, even if it's not in too much of a competitive way, and just like learning a little bit about themselves before they throw yourself into like
yeah,
500-pound yoke on your back.
yeah,
It's funny, Mel. Oh, I was gonna say it's funny to think of you, and I mean this in the most respectful way possible, to think of you as a bikini athlete because to me, I've always loved your physique. You're the definition of strong, and I always love. I'm partial to middleweights because I feel like they're the ones that set strong women up to be more appealing to a mass audience because of how we look. Because there was always that preconceived notion that like I'm just going to go ahead and say it that like you're over 300 pounds, you can't move fast, but middleweights showed, like you said, very athletic. So, how much did you weigh when you stepped on stage for your bikini show?
I think I was 120 pounds actually, which is crazy. That's actually how much I weighed when I graduated high school as well. So, which is so bizarre to like look back, because I remember like body dysmorphia is a real thing. Because I remember like in high school thinking that I was like a bigger, like I've always had an athletic, like I was naturally kind of an athletic build, I guess. But in my mind, I always thought I was like bigger because of it. But now I'm like, what was I thinking? Because I was literally 120 pounds when I graduated high school. And then this bikini show, I was 120 pounds on stage. It's even crazy to think that the Arnold, my first Arnold amateur in 2018, I went as a lightweight. So in 2018, I was competing at under 140. And now I'm like 40 to 45 pounds heavier than that. So I don't even know how I was physically able to be that small, to be honest with you.
And when people still introduce you, they're always like, Mel, the lightest competitor to us. You're like, I'm still light. It's just funny how that is our perception changes because I started lifting. I was 135 pounds. I've been 180 pounds and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just interesting as you're lifting and you're like, I guess I'm going up a weight class. And now you're competing in open, but it's like, no, I'm just like at my strong body weight. You're not trying to cut. You're not trying to gain. You're just like, I mean, I'm sure
No,
sometimes you're trying to cut or gain, but you're just like, I'm being strong. This is what my body is, you know?
no, and I find it funny because I've had people comment before, like, because I've done middleweight shows, like I guess the last middleweight show I did was Clash in 2022, but this I just walk around at this size, and I have people
Right.
comment like, "Oh, when are you going to fully commit to the open class?" And it's like, this is me fully committed. Like, I I'm a believer in like you look good, feel good, play good. So this is like the size that I feel confident in the size that I am right now. I've been bigger than this. I think my heaviest, I was 195, and I just didn't feel good. And I believe that that kind of like transfers over into the gym. Like, believe it or not, maybe this is just like my own little head thing, but I feel like I perform better even as a strength athlete when I feel better about how I look and how I feel. Like, smaller size, I feel more athletic. I don't feel like slow and sloppy, you know what I mean? So it's just like this is me committed to the open class. This is when I perform my best at a middleweight size.
Yeah. And you as an individual, someone who is, a woman who's 6 foot tall is going to have a different frame.
Exactly.
And their body weight where they feel the best is definitely going to be different. So it's good
Well,
that you're kind of owning that.
and I think that was kind of like, I mean, it's always been apparent to me, but I like really noticed it at the Arnold this year. I saw a picture. Someone had taken it from backstage, and it was like all the women lined up. And it was so cool to see how like everyone brings their own package. Like, we are all our own unique person. We all look different. We're all different shapes and sizes. So it's kind of cool that we can represent that at the open class at big shows like that. That, yeah, we come in all shapes and sizes, and we're all strong as hell. So
It's so important what you said too when someone asked you like, when are you going to commit to the open class, and you're like, this is where I feel the best, because like I said, I think people still think that, mass can move mass. And if they, in my opinion, if they say that, they don't understand our sport, because there is so much moving around, and adding 5-10 pounds of body weight might not seem like much, but you go ahead and you rip up a 300-pound sandbag and you're sprinting with that. See how that takes a toll on your joints as an athlete. And something we have to consider as strongman athletes is taking care of our joints and our body as a whole. And that's kind of what I wanted to ask you next, because injuries, without a doubt, every athlete deals with them. It's pretty much part of our sport. So talk to us about what injuries you've had and how you've come back from them, both physically and mentally as well.
It's funny you asked that, actually, because knock on wood, I actually have not dealt with anything like a severe injury. I've had some like oopsies in the past. Like, one time I dropped a stone on my foot, so my foot was bruised and swollen for a while, but nothing serious. And then like some tweaks here and there. But actually, my biggest hurdle was pre-Clash, the record breaker in 2021. So that was in April, I think, that year. So the August before that, in 2020, I randomly developed this, like, it started in my right ankle. I don't know if I've talked to you guys about this before, but in my right ankle, it became sore and swollen, and I was like limping, and I was like, I don't know what is going on.
Was that the same side as your knee when it buckled?
So the knees at Shaw were both knees, actually.
Okay. I wasn't sure, because I feel like I kind of remember you talking to me about it during an ice bath, but
yeah, so it just like, and it, weirdly enough, like, they ended up not being related at all. But at the same time, I kind of experienced groin pain on the same side. So I thought, like, I had done a long road trip the weekend before, so someone was like, you should go to the walk-in, like in case you have a blood clot, it's causing swelling, whatever. So anyway, I went to the walk-in. They did like x-rays and blood work and an ultrasound, and like nothing was showing up. And it just progressively got worse and worse. My foot was like ballooned up. I couldn't walk on it. I was on crutches, and I kept getting referred, like the healthcare in Canada. Yes, we have universal free healthcare, but it's not all it's chalked up to be. So if you don't advocate for yourself here, it's not always good. So anyway, I kept getting referred to like different specialists. I saw like a vein specialist. I saw an orthopedic surgeon. Like I saw many people, and no one could tell me what was wrong with me. But this orthopedic surgeon that I dealt with in the ER, he gave me his personal number, and he said, if anything like gets worse or whatever you need to contact me, here's my number. So I said, okay, great, thanks. I remember I woke up one morning, went to get out of bed, and at this point it was just my right foot. So I stepped on my left foot to get out of bed, stepped on my left foot, and I collapsed and hit the ground because my left foot was now in so much pain. So it had moved to the other side. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And at this point, I'm like 25 years old, had perfect health up until this point, and doctors cannot tell me what's wrong. So I messaged the surgeon, explained what was happening. He made an appointment with me at the ER, and then he ended up referring me to a rheumatologist. So anyway, I go and see this rheumatologist, and she prescribed prednisone for me, which was a Band-Aid. It helped because then it like took the swelling down, the pain, whatever. But that I can't be on prednisone for the rest of my life. And again, I don't have any answers as to what's actually wrong with me. So she was like, I'll schedule you for this an ultrasound, but a fancier version. But it wasn't going to be for another 2 months, I believe. And I was like, man, I can't do this. Like, I'm 25 years old. I'm a professional athlete. I was perfectly healthy, and now I can't even walk on my 2 feet.
Were you
So,
able to go to work?
um, it's funny you asked that because I actually can't remember what I did about work. But I could barely walk, so I'm sure I was just giving away my shifts or whatever. So this was like all within a month period, probably. And so anyway, I ended up paying for a private MRI. And between my blood work and the MRI, they ended up diagnosing me. I basically had arthritis of my ankles, and it was an autoimmune response. Like it was autoimmune arthritis, but not, I tested negative for rheumatoid arthritis, but it was like an autoimmune response arthritis. So from then on, she put me on methotrexate, which is a rheumatoid drug, but it ended up working for me. It brought swelling down, the pain down. I was able to like function normally in life again. But again, I don't want to be on methotrexate for the rest of my life. But with that drug, she wanted me to be on it for at least a year. And then after that, we would slowly cut back on it to see if what I had was chronic or if it was just a random autoimmune thing. So that was, I think, October of 2020, I was put on methotrexate. And then I believe it was that like November, I started getting the idea of like doing this Clash record breaker or something to work towards and like get back into the gym. Because again, the gym. So I remember like it was like the first 2 weeks, I basically didn't do anything. I just sat on my couch and felt sorry for myself because no one could tell me what was wrong with me. And I went from being able to walk to not being able to walk. And it was just like pretty depressing, honestly.
Yeah,
But then
understandably.
I was like, okay, I can't just keep sitting on the couch and doing nothing. So I went to the gym and I started doing what I could, upper body stuff mostly. And sure enough, that made me feel better because when you go to the gym, you feel better, right? So I stopped having a pity party for myself, and I just kind of had to start looking at it with the perspective that like, I'm going to do what I can, right? There's no point in going from what I was doing to doing nothing at all. I'm going to do what I can. And sure enough, you feel better. mentally going to the gym does make you feel better. So yeah, I started to slowly like progress in the gym depending on how my body was responding to the methotrexate. And yeah, then fast forward to April 2021, I set the Canadian log record and then the world record axle at the time as a middleweight. So sorry, that was a really long-winded story, but
No,
I didn't never knew that though. I
me
missed
either.
that part. So
Yeah.
I'm like, that backstory makes everything even more impressive. I was already impressed,
yeah,
but that's crazy you went through that. That's scary. Like super scary.
yeah, and yeah, it was just like frustrating because I couldn't get answers for, I mean, it wasn't a long time, but long enough to be like, hey, what the heck is going on? So it was nice to finally like understand what was going on with my body and then kind of working with the answers I was given there and progressing forward. And again, picking that goal of the records at Clash. And yeah, it kind of made that whole situation a little more bittersweet because it was like, I went from literally not being able to walk in like August of 2020 to setting a world record in April of 2021. So yeah, mentally it kind of put into perspective to just appreciate your body and what it can do. Because yeah, sitting on your couch doing nothing and feeling sorry for yourself is not a very fun experience. So yeah.
Yeah, freak accidents like that definitely builds character as well as I feel like they make you a better athlete. Every athlete I've ever talked to, Chrissy and I included, have had that period of time where that really, really low, you were sitting on the couch feeling sorry for yourself. Like I feel like that's the evolution of an athlete. That's a chapter in the book that you have to go through so you know what it feels like, because then you come back and it makes you just appreciate training that much more. You mature as an athlete. You're not just doing it, in my opinion, to get a record or to get a title. It's like, okay, I actually love this and this is who I am as a person. So I just had a question. So you said with the medication, you were on it. What happened when you came off of it for a year? Have you had any flare-ups? Is it?
No, so
Yay, okay.
I've been off completely since the Arnold of last year.
Awesome.
And yeah, no, I've been fine since. So knock on wood, that was kind of just a one-off thing. But now moving forward, if something was to kind of flare up again, I at least know kind of what's going on. And I have this rheumatologist that I can message if anything pops up. So
did they ever, I know it wasn't rheumatoid per se, but did they ever like give you a name to what it was?
there was some like, I forget what they said, some name for it, but basically it's just like arthritis of my ankle joints, but it was like a flare up due to like an autoimmune response. So I don't know what caused that. We don't know, but who knows?
Yeah, no, that was an awesome story. Like we never knew that, so I'm so happy you told us.
Yeah, it's like the more you know, and like those kind of things are good too, because even though they suck, and I'm sure you were like just in that purgatory of like, what's going to happen? Am I going to lose everything? Because you don't know. But knock on wood, if you know that this won't happen. But anytime you come across any kind of hardship or injury, you know that at the other side of that, you can still come out even stronger. It's not like everything's going to just, I think that's the main fear. Brady and I've talked about this a lot. When we get injured, we're going to lose all of our clients. We're going to lose our business. I'm never going to lift again. I'm going to be weak. I'm going to lose all my muscle, but it's going to be hard, but eventually you can get to a world record. That's happened. Mel did it. So, no, that's always, it's good to kind of be able to look back on that next time shit hits the fan, but hopefully it won't.
I think it just like puts things into perspective. It makes you appreciate the little things a little bit more, because just like the simple things of like literally walking, like the body is capable of doing really great things. So, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Brittany and I know all about that with our chronic back injuries. I'm like, I can get out of bed without pain. Like not even just training changed my outlook, but just on life in general. Like
I have 2 surgeries coming up. I get it. Yeah. So
for your back?
I just laugh now. Like I found out last week I have to get surgery on something else, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I can do it. Like it doesn't even like my first real injury when I had to have like 3 surgeries to repair my wrist. It was like the end of the world to me. Like I
Yeah.
was, and now I'm just kind of like, whatever. You could run me over. I know I'm gonna come back, so it's fine. Like I said, I feel like no, it's true though. I do feel like injuries put like a certain scar on you that I think they're honestly a huge advantage. Like if someone hasn't gone through something like that, like I laugh because you said you haven't been injured. Like no, Mel, that's a huge, not being able to walk, even if it was only for a brief period of time, is definitely an injury because it left like an emotional scar, you know? So
for sure.
what is your day to day like? So Chrissy had mentioned like when we get injured, we're afraid of losing clients and stuff. And I always thought it was cool that you aren't a coach. Like we've talked about this in person. You seem to love your job. You're always having fun, laughing. So talk to us a little bit for people that don't know you, like what your day to day is like. I know you're into your plants and your home decor and working. So what does a typical day in the life of Mel look like?
Yeah, so my schedule is I don't have a set schedule for work. I'm a waitress and a bartender, so that schedule just is week to week. I get scheduled whatever I get scheduled. I mostly work nights, so my sleep schedule is a little wonky. I've always been like a night owl, always my whole life. So yeah, I work nights at the bar, sleep in, and on my days off, I train, obviously. Training, it's kind of embarrassing how much time I spend at the gym, but I always chalk that up to like, it's my social life. I really, really enjoy being at the gym. That atmosphere is really great. I have really great training partners. I'm really thankful that I know not everyone has that ability to even like have a gym. I know a lot of, or not have a gym, but have a gym to go to. I know a lot of people just like train at home by themselves. So I'm really fortunate that I have a really awesome gym to go to. And then I have really awesome training partners. So yeah, I spend a lot of my free time at the gym. My main training partner, his name is James Jeffers, and then his wife. It's really awesome. She competes, and then his wife is like a freelance media, like videographer. She does stuff for like sports packages at competitions. She actually came to Arnold with me in March and did photo and video stuff for me. So get to hang out with her and all the other people at the gym. So yeah, I spend a lot of my free time at the gym, and then when I'm at home, I have my big dog Axel, and I've got 2 cats. So walking Axel, hanging out with my pets, and yeah, like you said, plants and painting. I moved into the house that I'm in now last July. I guess coming up on the 20th, it'll be, or the 19th, it'll be a year that I've been
Oh,
in this
happy
house.
almost 1 year anniversary. That's special.
Yeah.
I know it's
So
always special when you get your own place and like make it a home. So congrats with all
yeah.
your animals.
So making it a home, that's what I also do in my spare time. I like to paint walls. This is like the only colored wall. All my other walls are black basically. So yeah, painting, and I don't even know why I got into, I'm like looking at all my plants in my living room right now. I don't even know why I got into plants, but I just turned into my like old woman era as soon as I moved in by myself. Just like,
How old are you?
I'm 29 in September.
Oh, you're not old. Stop it.
So yeah, I have this like knack for plants now. So yeah, just like random stuff around the house I like to do. I live a
Do
pretty
you?
like boring life, honestly.
I think pretty much any top athlete does. Like,
Yeah.
do you still prep your food like you did in bikini, or do you eat whatever you want? What does your nutrition look like?
Yeah, so I've worked with a nutritionist, Taylor Baker, since I started in strongman. Because when I started in strongman, I was a weight class athlete. So I've been with him since 2017, and like quite honestly, now that I don't like cut or anything, I could manage on my own, I'm sure, but I like to just have him as like my accountability. We still do check-ins every Sunday, so Much like my life, my food is also very boring. I am the type of person that I literally eat the same thing every single day. I just like routine like that, and I don't really get sick of food. So it's
So
very boring.
do you want to walk us through? And I want you to stop. I'm going to call you out like I do my own, like my people I coach. Stop, downgrade. Like you're kind of being mean to yourself, saying like, "Oh, I'm boring. I'm this." No, Mel, that is what high level athletes do. They are routine, and that's why
Yeah.
they win. So stop it. All right. So, what does your day to day nutrition look like? Like, walk us through your favorite meals that you eat every day.
So for breakfast, I do like a protein oatmeal with raspberries on top, and I do Greek yogurt. Um, for meal two, I'll do like basmati rice, chicken thighs. What I've been doing, I started this a couple months ago. I put honey on my meat before I microwave it, and it's so good. So you put like
That
Do that.
honey on
sounds
like,
awesome.
yeah, so you put honey on like your chicken thighs or even my ground beef, and then I microwave it, and then I put soy
Mm.
sauce on after, so it's like a sweet and salty. It's so good. I know some people think that's disgusting, but
Girl,
um,
so here's like my favorite marinade: a little minced garlic, a little bit of whiskey, a nice olive oil, and a bunch of honey, and mix that, and then paint it on. It's so good.
yeah, so that's meal two, and then my like pre-gym meal, I'll do. I've been buying Natrel milk. It's like Fairlife but cheaper. So protein milk with shredded like mini beets and a protein like carb blend shake. So I'll do that before the gym. And then after the gym, I'll do basmati rice, ground beef, and honey again. And then before bed, I'll do like yogurt again with some berries on top. So I eat like 2,600 calories is around like what I'm comfortable with, like 350 to 375 carbs, 165 protein, 60 fat, around there. So
So
yeah.
yeah, so high carb, moderate protein, lower on the
Yeah.
fat.
And the nice thing about the honey is like I can't consume a lot of like I like to feel full, but I don't like to force feed myself. So honey is like a really great way to get
Hmm.
in some of those carbs without stuffing yourself.
Yeah, that's a
Do you
really
use
good tip too.
Yeah.
do you use local Canadian honey? Is that your secret?
Honestly, I've just been buying it from Walmart, but there are a lot of good local honey places I
That's
could use.
awesome. Love that.
But
So you
yeah.
guys heard it from her. Okay, so I have another question because everything I've observed of you, I haven't competed with you like Chrissy has, but I've probably gotten a pretty up close view from being, commentating and watching you. You seem like a really calm athlete, but I don't know what's going on in the inside of your head. So walk us through whether you start a few weeks before with meditation and going through your contest, or how do you mentally prepare for a big contest?
So I try not to like overthink things, because that's when I feel like I overthink everything else in my life, and that's just kind of like sets you up for disaster most times. So competing is like the one thing that I actually in my life don't overthink and I don't get super anxious about. I get like, I guess what like the normal pre-comp nerves or whatever, but um, it's actually the one thing in my life that I feel like I have somewhat mentally controlled compared to most of the stuff in my life. So I just try not to overthink it, honestly. I take my prep day by day. Um, if I have a bad day, I let myself have a moment. I'll maybe like text my coach Terry and just be like, oh my God, today was terrible. I'm weak, whatever. I let myself have a moment and then I just move on. You have to move on. In this sport, you cannot dwell on things, whether it's a bad training day, a bad event in competition. You just have to put it to the back of your mind and move on. So I take prep day by day. And then I would say the only thing that I do to like comp prep myself would be I like to a couple nights ahead of time, I will go through each event, like each single event in my head, picturing myself executing the event perfectly. Especially the night before my show, that's what I'll do in bed when I'm trying to fall asleep, is just literally picture each event and picture it me crushing the event. And that's pretty much the only like special preparation thing I would do.
Yeah. Those are
Or
mental movies. I love it.
yeah, yeah. And then I just like make sure like the night before I also make sure that my bag is packed perfectly. But other than that, I don't really do anything special, quite honestly.
And I don't think you have to when you have all that like experience of competing, and then it kind of seems like you know that you've done the work each day, like you did day by day, like you did the prep, you know what to expect out of yourself. So, but
Yeah, because
yeah,
it's even like at the Arnold, like there was 2 grip events, and I know grip events, along with throwing events, are my worst events. And you can look at it in the way that like, oh my God, these are 2 of my worst events. I'm gonna do so bad at them, which I did. But what good is that gonna do, right? All I can really do is just work as hard as I can in my prep to get better at those events. And that's all I'm capable of doing. So it is what it is. What I bring on game day is what I prepped for. That's the best that I can bring that day. So there's no point in beating myself up about being bad at that event when I can just take that prep and better myself at that event, and hopefully it goes well, but maybe it won't. But it is what it is, right? I didn't pick the event, so you just kind of have to roll with it.
Yeah, that's great insight, and I'm excited for my clients to hear this podcast. I know we've almost taken an hour of your time, but I just have one last question. Since you've been, there's been so much growth in strongwomen over the last few years, and you've been a big part of it. What do you think we can do better to better the sport for women?
I don't know if there's necessarily anything that we can do better. I think that we need to just like stay on the path that we're on right now, because we are headed in that right direction, right? And I think that people need to, again, kind of how I said at the start, like when, like in my own personal experience, like, oh, I feel like I'm not strong enough right now, but then you take a step back and look at where you started. I think it's kind of the same thing with where the women are in the sport right now. It's like we might not be where we want to be yet, but we have to take a look back and remember where we started, and that wasn't very long ago. So the amount of growth that we've had in the past 6 or 7 years, I think is insane. So I think we just need to appreciate where we're at and just continue on the path that we're at. And that's like the women in the sport. We need to just like keep representing women and showing women what they can do. And the sport's going to just keep growing and growing and growing as long as we're representing the sport in a positive way. I mean, you look at the Shaw, for example, this year they added in another weight class, and I didn't actually look at the lightweight list, but there's how many more women athletes competing this year compared to last year. So as long as we keep showing up and we keep doing our part and doing what we're doing, I personally think that we're headed in the right direction. So
yeah, no, I love the positive outlook too. And like, just, we're getting more opportunities, so take them and talk about them. And
yeah,
I think I was just telling Sam the other day on the podcast, I think everyone's doing a great job, like pushing forward, showcasing their personalities themselves on social media, being positive role models, and like actually just setting a really good example. So I think really thank you guys for that, because a lot of stuff has grown and it gives us more opportunities as well.
Yeah.
Mel, I love that you compared. Again, Chrissy just said positive. It's so refreshing to hear you say that and see your mindset, because the parallel you drew from comparing your training where you started to comparing where strong women are compared to a few years ago. That was just well put. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, closing thoughts. Are there any fun facts that maybe Chrissy or I or anyone listening might not know about you? Any like secret talents, secret obsessions, shows, books, anything?
Oh man, you're gonna hate me because I'm just gonna say I'm boring again.
Her special talent is deadlifting over 600 pounds.
Yeah,
either 601 or 606. We don't know.
While her nails and everything are perfect.
Yeah. You know what I deadlifted because I don't even know.
That's so funny. It's over 600, maybe 601, 606. We'll find out.
We're in there.
Awesome. All right, so no special facts. You'll get back to me.
Put me on the spot like that. I gotta think, because I'm, like I said, I'm a very boring person.
I'm not gonna lie, I hate this special talent question because I'm always like, I don't know.
Strongwoman is my special talent. This is my special
Yeah.
Unhumanly feats of strength, that is definitely a special talent. So
yeah.
awesome. Well, are you training to what time is it over in Canada?
It's 1:09.
What's your schedule for the rest of the day?
I got some errands to run, and then I'm training tonight. So
What are you hitting in training?
I actually don't know. Terry's putting my program up today, but based on last week, I would probably be doing log and the medley. So
that just one more question. So do you get your program daily, or is it just Tuesdays when you get the week?
I usually, so right now I'm training 3 days a week. I was doing 4, but kind of towards the end of prep, sometimes he'll back it up a little bit. I find that I do the best off of 3 days a week. So when things get kind of like, you're more tired towards the end of prep, he'll dial it back sometimes. So after I'm done my 3rd day, I'll text him and say, hey, I'm done, ready for next week. And then he'll put up the next week. So usually like day 1, he'll put up that day, and then I get the rest of the week. So
yeah. I think that just goes back to how calm and collective you are as an athlete, because some people need to know everything type A. So you just seem to roll with it, which works out awesome for you. So
yeah, but you've been with Terry for how long? So he like knows you, and it's in and out, right?
Yeah,
so
I can be a very high strung person, but Terry is very good at bringing me back down to earth. So yeah.
Well, have fun in training tonight, and thank you again so much for coming on and all you're doing for the sport. I'm excited to see you soon.
Yeah, good luck at Shaw.
Thank you. We'll see you there.
Bye.
Bye.